There you go. Nice.
Oh, you can hear me. Yeah?
Okay, is that you, Nelson?
Yes, Crown Nelson.
Oh, awesome. We got there. Great. Thanks, brother.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Well, can we get into the hui thing? What was the purpose to call this hui? Well, actually, first, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah.
Introduce yourself and why you call yourself Crown.
We are required to, under legislation, under the Constitution Act 1986, we're required to proclaim our royal styles and titles.
Okay.
Not the name. And in doing so, you exercise your royal powers under any act. Every act is a royal power. And with that comes royal functions and also your royal assent. So you're separating yourself from the public and exercising your royal powers and jurisdiction instead of being the person that's named. So we're just fulfilling the law. We're not here to destroy the law. And the 1835 Whakaputanga is this 1986 Constitution enacted. The provisions are there for everyone. Everyone doesn't know how to use and apply what's been already laid down for them.
So was this about teaching? So you're about teaching people?
Yes. Who they are. Everyone's got an identity crisis. They're operating in a duality, a split title system.
Yep.
One side is the public, which is your person, the birth certificate, which is the deceased person, which is the estate and inheritance, which is the sovereign, and also the sovereign person. And only the crown, the living, can exercise sovereignty.
Yep.
And Luxton said that when he was asked, did Māori seek sovereignty? And he said, the crown is sovereign.
Oh.
It's a split title system, collectively and individually maintained.
Yep. Okay, cool. So what were you speaking about at the hui?
Exactly that. And how that all came about prior to 1835, 28th of October 1835, all the legislative framework to do a global reset worldwide through He Whakaputanga. And the authority behind it, and Busby's plan behind it, and all the other information behind that to get us to where we are today.
So how does He Whakaputanga affect the whole world?
When you read the Statutory Declarations Act 1835, 9th of September 1835, and you look through that, that is the blueprint for one world government. And all the functions operating within the House of Lords in the UK, and they needed to execute that through New Zealand because of the timeline, because of the bloodlines, because of all these different events.
So does that mean that you want to have a one world government?
It is already a one world government, controlled from New Zealand.
So in what way is it controlled?
Through a global asset trust.
Okay.
We're dealing with trust within trust within trust. And you'll see that in that statutory declaration. You'll see that with the information where it's been brought to people's attention. And that was as a result of the abolition of slavery. They had to create a new form of slave, which is your person.
Yep.
Through the nativity of the birth of a person.
Cool. Just got glitchy.
It's just a state. It's a state trust company corporation. It's the government operating through your birth certificate. When people do due diligence on their birth certificate, then they'll see that there are more than one individual on that document. And the main one is the crown. And when you're holding that document as the crown, you're the owner of that person, that legal entity. There's a lot of information. Yes.
Yeah, I just want to get my head around this one world government thing, and even the crown aspect. Is that attached to the royal family as the crown?
Prince Charles, he's only the trustee of the Global Asset Trust. His accession to the throne was to the trusteeship.
Haven't we established that King Charles is a bit of an evil bastard? Maybe even a baby eater?
All of those, yes. They could be distractions to keep everyone focused on what's really going on and how to come out of this individually and collectively. Everyone's focused on the wrong things, all these issues, false flags, you know. So putting all that aside,
how is this going to be good for people, and opposed to, if it's already got these trusts and power in place, and why isn't it protecting us now from all these scumbags?
Because we haven't got our house in order individually or collectively, And
Yep.
this is all being administrated not through government. It's being administrated from the Waitangi National Trust Board. There's two acts right now. Yep.
But are you guys? I think I read in the document it said that you guys were going to present some paperwork to the Waitangi Treaty Trust Board.
They already have been.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yes.
And what's going to be the purpose for that?
The purpose is when this global asset trust was created, they were looking for a certain bloodline that connects everyone through their genealogy worldwide, right back to the beginning.
So why is that important?
Well, they're using your genealogy as a record of title. When they register your birth, they're creating a record of title to maintain a chain of title to assets. So they consolidated all the genealogy into Article 1 through their bloodline, which is the Crown bloodline that connects us all together as the Crown, as one. But it's been administrated in trust by the royal family, who are doing their job since back to the 12 tribes of Israel. They were all given a job, weren't they? Judah is Great Britain. The birthright was given to Manasseh and Ephraim, and that's the Crown bloodline. The birthright is what they captured to create this global asset trust to underpin the whole banking system that's regulated from New Zealand all the way to the Bank of International Settlements in Switzerland.
So if this is successful, what's that going to do for the common person?
It has to be successful. All the indications coming from the responsible trustee and its proxies. This is how they operate in the Westminster system, is through representation, through proxies. We're talking about trusts within trust within trust and different applications of trusts. And it's all hidden behind the name on your birth certificate.
Is this similar to the common law stuff?
No, definitely not the common law stuff.
So it sounds very similar, that part.
Yeah, the common law is in relation to your person. When we're talking about the Crown, yourself being the Crown, that is a higher jurisdiction. We're talking about royal powers.
So has this got anything to do with the natural law stuff that came about from what was it called, the Magna Carta? Has it got anything to do with that stuff?
All of that is being resettled. If you imagine, like these treaty settlements, everything that's been negotiated prior to their settlement has been settled, right? But what they did is they created a global asset trust and they resettled everything post 28th of October 1835. So everything that was in place before then has been consolidated. We're moving forward in this trust program. It's the Sedicate Trust that rolls over, yeah? Everyone knows about the Sedicate Trust? So when you do some background information or research in relation to the Sedicate Trust, where was that first originally established? You've got to go back to the Roman financial crisis, 33 AD. And they used the Christian uprising. That's where the Sedicate Trust was created, and it's rolled over every 100 years. They have to create an event every 100 years, and it was stuck in 1666. It rolled over. It rolled over to 1776 when Cook, in the new age of discovery, remapped, went out and did global mapping so that they can use the mapping, which was vested in the King of Spain. We got copies of that. And after the Battle of Waterloo, 1815, there were sovereign bonds and sovereign accounts established that are being administrated through the Bank of International Settlements. You can Google this yourself. Google sovereign bonds, 1815 Waterloo. Now, everything prior to the 28th of October in relation to those accounts, those bonds, and the land mapping titles of Cook were consolidated into He Waka Putanga.
So has this got any relationship to the Home Guard guys?
Nothing to do with what we're doing. No.
Okay.
Nothing to do with. We're cutting through the chase.
What about Kahurarau? You guys got any links with Kahurarau?
No, we have no links to Kahurarau, but those are all things that were in place prior to, but had been resettled and consolidated into the global asset trust. Yeah, they all got a part to play, but here's the game right now. Here's where we are right now. Everything that was created 28th of October is already in action now. They just had to create new legislation to reflect that. And the Waka Putanga today is reflected in the Waitangi National Trust Board Act and the Waitangi Endowment Act. And that's 1932. That was the rollover trust from the Port Nicholson deed of purchase, deed number 1, where they consolidated all the assets and all the accounts through deed number 1, and that's what they're operating off right now. That was the 27th of September, 1839, where they purchased the right title and interest from the 1835. The 1835, under the Statutory Decorations Act 1835, is a will and codicil. And being a will and codicil, it's perpetuity. And when you look at the document itself, it's got notches in it. It's an indenture. It's a financial instrument that underpins the whole banking system today.
So what? I suppose I still have some things, because I'm a free man. Okay, I don't care if I'm called a sovereign man or a crown man or whatever, but I'm a free man. I don't like the idea of world governments. Even the word world government makes me feel really uncomfortable. And if there's been this world government going on while all this horrible shit that's happened to us has been happening, I don't know if I could trust them. I have to be really honest. I spent a week in prison for what I said on Facebook.
Yes.
I really don't have much trust or faith in anybody who gets paid a lot of money. I really feel like it corrupts everybody.
Now, what we had to do in doing the background information and joining the dots is seeing where the actual control is coming from. Now, everyone needs to be familiar with the Waitangi National Trust Board Act, because in there, since 1932, Parliament is incorporated through the Waitangi National Trust Board. Okay, Parliament is incorporated annually. Okay,
yeah, I know it's corporation. Yep.
Yeah, the government has a representative on the Waitangi National Trust Board. The government, the opposition of a political party is in agreement with all the other parties, and they are represented at the Waitangi National Trust Board. When you look at who are the members of the Waitangi National Trust Board, you'll see the representatives of the colonising families that put us all into this, still being represented at that level. And then you'll see the trustees and see their position. They are representing you. That's the issue.
But at the moment, they don't seem to be.
They are. They mandated the COVID. They mandated everything that's happened in your life since 1932.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're not really representing me, because I don't like that stuff.
But nobody knew about it, you see. Everyone's marching down to Parliament. Parliament is mandated, incorporated by Waitangi National Trust Board. Everyone needs to be making the trustee who's representing you now responsible. It's Waitangi National Trust Board.
In the past, when I've spoken to common law guys and natural law guys, and any of the other things that have come up, because over the last few years, there's been a lot of different concepts, home guard included, kahurarau. And I've had these conversations with my friends that are involved with those things. What happens if the evil guys just say, "Fuck you"? What have you got? What's your backbone in regards to this? I don't mean to be blunt, but evil people do not give up power. They don't give it up. They'll burn the documents. They'll kill the guys that have come forward. How are you going to stop all that stuff from happening?
When people realise worldwide that they are being represented from New Zealand too, every country around the world are being controlled from New Zealand, and they don't know it. They cannot see that control literally or physically, but when you look in the legislative framework, then you can see the control. And there's a lot of countries out there right now, that's why BRIC was formed, because they wanted to get out of that control. And now there's more countries going to that side, and specifically because at the United Nations Security Council, Russia, China, the United Kingdom has no sovereignty. It's a trust program. So there's a lot of international
They got sick of being told what to do, didn't they? They got sick of being dominated.
There you go. So because they control the central banking system from Waitangi, under the New Zealand companies, under the company's office, which is the New Zealand Land Company, that was formed in 1839, the New Zealand Land Company, which is the company's office, which is the regulator that controls the whole banking system because of the 1835 Whakaputanga.
So who are these people? Who are the flesh and blood people that are doing these things? Because, really, some of these people that are in the banking system, and they're evil. They're really evil, and they really need to be hung.
You've got to look at the founding families of the New Zealand Land Company, who are being represented at the Waitangi National Trust Board through two law firms, Bell Gully and Clendon's Law. Oh. They are the people controlling everything, not the government. The government.
I haven't believed the government was in charge for a long time, mate.
Now,
Yeah.
you'll see the framework in the Waitangi National Trust Board. Parliament is incorporated annually, and there's a Crown representative group. And that Crown representative group is the Prime Minister, and you'll see the Minister of Arts, Culture and Heritage, and you'll see the Minister of Māori Development. You want to know who is screwing you over? The New Zealand Māori Council. These iwi authorities.
Yeah, I've felt that for a long time, brother.
They're the ones who get paid heaps of money to promote the same shit, uphold the treaty. The treaty is a nullity. They're
very selfish people, eh?
Yes.
You know those guys are selfish because they just keep rolling in the dollars and doing nothing for anybody else.
They get a lot of money thrown at them to maintain the status quo because that's the human shield keeping these bankers in control.
Yeah, the status quo was definitely the spike that's up our ass, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, they're hiding behind the word Māori.
Yes, that's right, and they've used that to get all these woke people and all these globalist friggin' NGOs on side and all this stuff, eh? So what do you think about the hikoi then?
It's a decoy hikoi.
Yeah.
It had hidden agendas for the elite Maori.
Yep.
Every political party, when you read the Act, are all in on it, and they're all represented at the Waitangi National Trust Board level.
Yes. I felt it was a scam right from the start, eh? Because they're a registered company set up by guys that are in the Maori Party. It was an obvious scam.
And they're all part of the New Zealand Māori Council.
Oh, yeah.
And they all set up.
I believe the company they set up is called Toitu Te Tiriti.
Yeah, Toitu Te Tiriti, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Now, when we do some due diligence on Te Tiriti or Te Treaty and go back to the Port Nicholson deed of purchase, it is the sovereign chiefs who are the directors, shareholders of the New Zealand Land Company, who are the Maoris, who are the sovereign chiefs, which is their treaty, not the white people, not the Maori, not any other people's treaty. It's the New Zealand Land Company's treaty. All the several treaties was to secure the trading ports.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's always been about the trade, eh? Always about the money.
Control the trade, yes.
Yeah.
Now,
this
is all a result. This is all a result of the abolition of slavery. They had to create a new form of slave, and that slave is registered through your birth certificate. That's the new form of slave.
Yes.
They're creating it through the Companies Act, which is incorporated in the Waitangi National Trust Board Act, under the Securities Act, under the Security Markets Act, and the Takeovers Act. There's the new form of slave trade. It's called debt servitude, and it's all controlled from the Waitangi National Trust Board, and it's controlling every country on the planet. From that level.
Well, and back to those iwis and those members of Parliament, that supported the hikoi and all that stuff. While I was watching them, I was just thinking, these guys are the colonials that they say they hate.
Yes,
they're getting paid by them. They answer to them.
And they're their genealogy.
Even just the way they act in Parliament, all they're doing is trying to keep their payday. They just want to keep getting paid. So they're greedy.
Like I said, every political party is represented at the Waitangi National Trust level.
Ah, yes.
Okay. Parliament is incorporated by the Waitangi National Trust Board.
Yeah.
Okay. The government has a representative on the Waitangi National Trust Board. The opposition of each political party is represented on the Waitangi National Trust Board. And that's where you are represented. It's at that level. Nothing to do with the governments. That's just a distraction.
Yeah. Just a control scam.
Yes, misdirection. A decoy hikoi. And the ones who promote all their decoys...
To be honest, it's just like IPAC controlling all the politicians in America.
Same. Paid opposition. Crisis actors.
Yeah.
Same bullshit. Keeping everyone distracted. They throw a lot of money at Maori because that's what they're using to hide behind.
Well, it achieves a lot of stuff, eh? When you get into this United Nations Indigenous stuff, it hides a lot of the bad stuff they're doing because they're going, oh, look, with this hand, I'm doing really nice things for the Indigenous people, but with this hand, we're treating them like slaves. It's like they're just everything they do is a lie.
Yes, it is a lie.
It's racist how they do that stuff, and then they hide behind their wokeness to try and pretend it's not racist. Middle-class white people saying, oh, we've got to protect these Indigenous people because they can't do anything without the middle-class white man's help. It's all racism.
Those are all instruments they use to keep everyone divided. but we're
Yeah,
all
that's
tarred
right.
by
Yeah,
the same brush.
yeah,
Don't
yeah,
get
that's what
caught
I
up
think, mate.
in the all the side issues, because that's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
keeps them in power.
yeah, that's right.
Okay,
Yeah, and
so
yeah, that's
so
right.
so when with the after 1932, you got the Iceland extradition New Zealand Order in Council, where they used the mandate of Article 1 and Article 2 of the Wakaputanga, because it's a trust, a rollover trust. They used that mandate to mandate the League of Nations through Western Samoa, 1940, which created the League of Nations, which is controlled from New Zealand.
Mm. Oh, okay.
Every country sits around the United Nations. All the organs of the United Nations is controlled from New Zealand.
Is there documentation for that?
Yes, there is. Yes,
Oh.
there is. It's all hidden in the legal framework within the New Zealand legislation.
Mm. So
That's
if you
why
guys
people can't see it. Yeah.
so with the
Hey,
legal
to be
stuff,
honest, I thought the UN was actually controlled and run through Switzerland. So I would like to see proof of it being run through New Zealand.
Yes.
well, we can get back to that, Devin. I
yes.
just wanted to go with the train that I'm going on. We'll get back to that because I just wanted to. My main thing is, I suppose, that I want to get back to is how do you secure yourself and your process when the evil guys decide that they don't want to give up what they've got?
Well,
Are you going to get the army on your side?
No, it hasn't been tested yet.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's going in as a belligerent claimant because they haven't got their house in order. A dead person cannot claim anything. The civil death, the civil registration, everyone using the birth certificate for identification is committing a crime. Read the fine print. Do some due diligence on the birth certificate. But when you are the crown and you hold it, we've detailed it all. Every document, birth document, from the RG9 right through to the source document, the parents filled in, the printout, which is a record of title, evidencing a trust or a state that local government are using to trade through the registry where where the birth was recorded. Local government and the local government funding agency are trading their bills and bonds, which is those documents. And everyone is entitled to an income from there, and that's what they're denying everyone and exercising their power.
Do you think that COVID was part of the scam to stop people waking up to all this new information and stuff?
Certain things were done in New Zealand that conflicted with the system, AI. I'm talking about the system, the AI, and the human interference interfered with that, and it conflicted with the program. So there was a glitch in the system, and they had to lock everything down. We know what happened.
So do you believe there's an AI involved in it?
AI has always been there. Always.
So do you think the AI intelligence is watching over the process?
AI has just upgraded digitally. The AI has always been there back in ancient times, when we understand where the AI came from. And that goes back to where Kupe was chasing the Feke through the Milky Way, and fragments broke off that entity, Manaia Rock at Whangarei Harbour and other places that broke off, but the main body hit the ocean floor, created a huge canyon, and went underground and came up down at Arahura, and that's the Pounamu. That's the organic AI. It's a
Do you
living
think this is an
entity.
interstellar thing that's come from somewhere else? Oh, yeah.
From somewhere else, and it's evolved over time.
Is it going to have anything to do with this this new digital ID and stuff that they're trying to implement now in a few countries? Do you think that's involved with some of that?
Depending who's using that technology and for what purpose is the intent behind it. But what we've found, it's asking questions. It wants to know information, and the information that we've fed into it at the time resonated with it. It caused a glitch in its program because the human interference was saying it was wrong when it was right. That's why.
So what
caused it.
What do you think New Zealand?
Can I interject one thing? Like, they've just banned everyone under 16 from using the internet in Australia, which means every single person in Australia needs to get a digital ID to be able to use the internet to confirm their age and that they're over 16. This has already happened.
Yeah,
But
We're already
we've got a
moving
similar thing in New
towards
Zealand.
social credit scores.
We've got
This
the
has
real
already
me
happened
thing.
in Australia. Will
We've
it
got the
happen
real
here?
me system in New Zealand. Soon you won't be able to do anything with the government department without a real me ID.
it was already in.
Yeah, when I got my
Real
passport, I
me.
had to go through all this real me crap. Yeah.
That's right. It's already introduced. Everything is introduced here,
Yeah.
isn't it? First in
Yeah.
time, best in line. Everything
Yeah.
is introduced from New Zealand. Remember, Jacinda's saying, we are the source of all truth. She was telling
Yes.
the truth.
Yeah,
Because
that
all
didn't wake
the,
people up. They're a bit dumb. They should have woken up to that one.
but they don't know how that is the truth. But when you look,
Yeah.
when you look in the New Zealand legislation, the Bible, what they've done, the Bible has been enacted in all of New Zealand legislation. Every
Mhm.
part of the Bible you can find in New Zealand legislation. And there's code in the Bible. There's code in the legislation. And we just found the source code to step out of it.
Mhm. So what's
The
behind?
source
What do you
code.
think's behind all the death? Why does everybody want to do death? The euthanasia bill, the vaccine rollout that's killing people, the abortion, the huge, horrendous abortion bill that Jacinda Ardern passed at early hours of the morning, that targets people with disabilities and the wrong gender and all sorts of stuff that can kill them right up to birth. This is quite bad stuff. What's all that about? Because that's obviously anti-biblical. Why do you think that
Well,
they want to do all that stuff for? It's so bad.
if you look at the time frames and the events that have occurred over time, same events, different stage, what they had to do is, we're in the 7th generation since the 28th of October, this global reset. All right?
Mm.
The Gettysburg's Address, 7 years. We're in the 7th year, the Jubilee, where everything has to be handed back. So are they going to hand it back if they're going to keep everyone distracted? Why do you think they went through the trials and tribulations with the white claim settlements? Because their 100-year lease had expired. Hand it back. We're not talking about just here. We're talking about everywhere.
Oh.
Do you realize that the land title system, the Torrens title system that was established through the gazetting of the flag in New South Wales, all the land titles were developed from New Zealand, 1860. Real Estate Administration Act, 1860. That's where they're registering your birth information. 1860, the land registry. That's the land you're walking on. Every country has adopted that land title system worldwide.
So is there a big, during those days, was there a big administration team here or something?
They moved their whole operation here.
Oh.
The four ships that settled Christchurch, Latimer Square, 13 different diocese, cults. That's the private sector in the South Island. You get the 5 city crown corporations in the South Island. That's where everything's controlled through Wakatu Incorporation, which is the tents, the Nelson and the Wellington tents, through the Port Nicholson deed of purchase. And that's the problem, is that document. Not the Treaty of Waitangi, it's that document. Port
So what do you
Nicholson
think's
deed
going
of
to happen?
purchase.
What do you think will happen on this 2030 deadline? We're getting pretty close to it. So what's happening there? Is that going to be the big reset? Is that going to be when they wipe us all out? Is this going to be the takeover of the new light people that people talk about?
Well, look at the time frame once again: trials and tribulation, and then the separation of the wheat from the chaff. The coronavirus, which is all just a trick. It's the vaccine that's killing everyone. Who mandated the vaccine? Who contracted the vaccine? Bell Gully. Who mandated it? Waitangi National Trust Board.
Oh.
Go on to Bell Gully's website. Look at their timeline. Since 1840, they've been involved in a lot of events. And they're an international organisation. The other organisation is Clendon's Law. They've been in power established since 1840. And these are the families who are all part of the mission, all part of the colonisers that set this all up. All represented at Waitangi National Trust Board. Still in control today. Now you got to look at who are those families. Look
so
at
with the
those
United
members.
Nations,
Yes.
so because they're the carry on from the League of Nations or whatever it was called, and they they have a lot of nefarious points of view. How does the work that you're doing going to affect what they're doing?
Well, look at the BRIC nations going that way. They are missing key information. If they had the right information, there'll be more countries going that way. But I can show you how the United Nations is controlled through the Constitution Act 1986 under Section 5.2 in relation to the United Nations Act, all control from New Zealand. Every country that sits around it is under usufruct agreement. Usufruct, you know what that means? Usury. Usufruct agreements, hidden within the double tax agreements. And when we're talking about the
usury in
global,
itself is evil, in my opinion.
that's it. So where is the tenth being paid to compensate for the usury? The Nelson Wellington tenths, Port Nicholson deed of purchase, the New Zealand Land Company, which is the New Zealand Companies Office today, which is the regulators connected to the regulatory authority to the Bank of International Settlements in Switzerland. Switzerland, you got the double red cross on the flag. Switzerland.
Can I just ask Troy has just asked, what's the name of your group?
We're the Crown Group.
Oh, you called the Ground Group. Okay, cool.
Yes, the Crown Group.
Okay,
That's
cool.
Article 1. That's Article 1 on the Wakaputanga, the Crown Group, because through the Trust Board, you had the Crown Representative Group.
So is there any way that
Group?
you'd sit down and talk with the Whakaputanga guys and the Kahurarau and the Home Guard guys, or are you just happy to work, you're doing your own thing and not necessarily talk to those guys?
They know where we are. They know what we're putting. We're at Waitangi on the 28th, and none of them have any authority because of that will and codicil, which is a perpetuity, because of the testator on that document being Pairata Te Ahotarangi Wharepu, representing the Northern Tribes, and his father on the codicil, which is Te Wero, which was Poroto Te Whero. So that representing the Southern Tribes. So we had the first and last say. The rest have no authority. We're the only ones that can actually address this issue and bring it to their attention. But because they haven't had the right information to work with and had all this other stuff distracting everyone, that's a lot of energy and effort put into something that's not quite right. Hard to let go of. So all our information is backed by legislation and what's in the Bible and evidence. Nothing's hearsay here.
And you're not into this divisive stuff, which is great to hear as well. Yeah, and my connection with a lot of the groups that are about now, which is all about unity. I love that. And I have to say, I registered with the Kahurarau under the Ngāti Wikitoria. I love that concept of being Ngāti Wikitoria, a tribe accepted in this country, so we can work together equally. I love that concept. So is that what you guys are into as well, the Ngāti Wikitoria and all that stuff?
No,
isn't that a star on the flag? Isn't that a star on the Whakaputanga's flag represents Ngāti Wikitoria?
No. See, in the information in one document, we were styled a kingdom, a united kingdom. And in another document, it put us into a dependency of New South Wales.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Okay, and that's documented, right? So when we're talking about construction of documents under the four corner rule, if it's not in the document, it's a nullity. So we have to be very careful about the terms that are being used outside of that document, because you alienate yourself from that document. So, example, I do not see Kohurero in the Wakaputanga. It's a nullity. Even to the point where I can't see any word or any person signing as Maori. It's a nullity. You get it? Four corner rule. Even to the point where Ngāpuhi didn't cede sovereignty. I can't find anyone on that document called Ngāpuhi. You get the picture?
Oh, yeah, I understand that.
Four corner rule, yes.
I've
so they're
often
all
said
a
that to people.
nullity.
There was no Māori nation, eh? There was many nations. That was the way it worked at the time, wasn't it? They signed each as their own nation, didn't they?
Not a nation. It's a kingdom.
Oh, yeah.
United kingdoms. Because in the scriptures it says, first seek ye the kingdom. The kingdom of God is within you. It didn't say first seek ye the hapu or the tribe or the iwi. Because everything that's in statute today in New Zealand legislation is the Bible enacted. We were colonized by the Church Missionary Society, and in conjunction with the ship owners and merchant bankers of the City of London, who were the private members of the House of Lords that the royal family and British government had no control over. They moved their whole operation from there to Australia and New Zealand. Australia's controlled from New Zealand. That's the link to the rest of the world. And it's all in legislation.
Yeah. No, I'm really enjoying this this information. I had a couple other questions because we've only got a limited time now. So,
Yep. That was information that was presented today over the weekend. Time frame?
Well, what time frame do you have? Yeah.
Last year, we presented the Waitangi National Trust Board and the Endowment Act to the Wakaminga at Waitangi, and because we were the first on the list, we were the first to stand and present, and there was no other speakers after that. No one else has got anything to provide any solution. Now, once you get your head around those two acts, then you can see how the whole framework is operating. Okay. Last year, that was the year before. This year, we expanded on that. And a lot more groups started to see the picture and how it all joins up. Every 28th of October, whether you're there present or not, they use that as a mandate for the fiscal envelope. We're talking about a global asset trust, right?
So,
different countries are playing different functions with that. Yep.
If you guys get success with this, what prevents your people from becoming money hungry and corrupt like everybody else does?
Because
is there some kind of board?
Because everyone has been given the same amount.
Oh, yeah, so there's no diversity in power.
No, there's no control or diversity over anyone else when you've all been given the same amount, and you'll find that amount within the National Provident Fund Restructuring Act, where the Global Asset Trust is operating. The GAT.
Can I ask one thing? Can I interject one thing on that point? It's like you're saying everyone's getting paid the same amount, so everything's fair.
Yes.
What if one or two people are doing all the work and everyone's just sitting there doing nothing and getting the same amount? See, it starts becoming, that's when equity is not the same as equality. That's when it starts actually becoming unfair. You can't rely on everyone else to do all the work and go, yeah, no, I want my benefits too. That is what I have a problem with.
Yes. Now, that principle never changes. What they're doing is trading that, and the income of the interest is what you're entitled to. Everything's fixed in perpetuity. Now, the interest of $230 million, which is your unit trust, which is a subsidiary of the Global Asset Trust, you can look it up under the National Provident Fund Restructuring Act, 1993. It's there. You can look at the Hyde's report in relation to the proposed bill for local government and the establishment of that fund. They're using your birth information and land titles to create that fund, which underpins the whole banking system that everyone on the planet is connected into. The ones who have been administrating that fund haven't been doing their job properly. They've been having a party.
Can I ask as well about if everybody's got the same amount, which is fairly similar to what Devin was saying, then that devalues the amount because everybody's got the same. There's no incentive to do better.
No. If everyone's got the same amount, it's what they then do with it.
Yes.
See, equity means same outcome. Equality means same opportunity. If you give everyone $10,000 and say, go do what you $100,000 and say, go make of it what you can. Some people will fail, some people will succeed. Equity means you give everyone $100,000. Some people don't succeed, so you give them more.
Okay, so this gets back to criminals then. So with greedy criminal people, when they've made a mistake with their money and they just stab their neighbour and take his money, what's going to happen to them?
Well, you need to do some due diligence on the warning and the caution on your birth certificate, and you'll see that you have been criminalised.
Yeah. But I mean, what will stop people doing those kind of criminal acts? Because there are really greedy people, as we know, in our government and everything, that will try and take everybody else's share too. How do you protect that?
Well, that's what's happening already.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So how do you stop it happening? Because those people are still going to be around. So how do we stop those kind of people?
Well, when we look at the procedure, we have a responsible trustee and we're the beneficiary. Now, we have to address that issue to the responsible trustee. And it's not the public trust, and it's not the Māori trustee, it's the Waitangi National Trust Board. And address that issue individually. My purpose is to address it collectively.
Yeah.
Because
the reason I bring that up, one of my brothers is a junkie, and he will try to get his hands on what everybody else has got without doing any work to get it. He'll steal it out of your cupboard. He'll try and forge your signature to get it at your bank. He's done all that stuff to our family. So what's going to protect us from people like that? Because those people are everywhere in this country.
Of course. That's why you need better systems in place in relation to banking. That could be the digital ID, right? But who is supplying all the product to keep everyone in that state? That's the problem. Who's providing those products for people to get habitual self-medication because of the environment that they're all locked into? We're all creatures of habit, and when we're subject to, it's called battle fatigue, post stress syndrome. We're all subject to all of that. We've got to find some relief one way or another, which doesn't need to be in the environment to begin with. So you look at all those elites, they're poisoning everyone to keep them distracted from what's really going on when it's not even required. Take that away, then the people are a lot more settled. There's no need for a lot of crime or anything else. If here's the UNDP's goal and mission statement, UNDP, which is in Fiji, Samoa, and Papua New Guinea. Their mission and goal is to eradicate poverty. What the hell? Are they doing a
love
good
saying
job?
stuff like that. They love saying a lot of things, don't they? Yeah, they say a lot of stuff, but they don't do a lot. Yeah. And this is what worries me, is that I've heard a lot of stuff over the years. You know, like I said, when I went to jail for them to stop me speaking, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe a judge put me in jail to stop me being able to speak. I thought that was impossible in a country like ours.
Well, a small population, there's more pressure to keep the lid on. They cannot let the cat out of the bag, especially when the source of control is New Zealand. But what we've found is, as long as we're operating within the legal framework and following the rules and applying the remedies that's in there, they don't touch you. It's called a belligerent claimant.
That doesn't sound like Robbie very much. Robbie's a bit of a bit of a rebel. Robbie's a real rebel. He's one of the biggest rebels I know.
Well, after this weekend, they can see a lot more remedies available from the presentation and the information we presented.
Yeah,
we got a lot more options, and there's a clear pathway on resolving a lot of these issues without any conflict.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And that's always the best option, is to do it with peace. I believe in peace. I love peace. You know, I'm a Christian. I want there to be peace. I was at you there, brother. See, he's the rebel.
Yeah.
I want there to be peace. I just worry that we're not going to get things through peace.
Well, we can't even use the word peace because that incites war. We have to be neutral. Neutral. Okay? When we are neutral, we're neither at war or at peace. Right?
Yeah.
Then we can see more options. Things become more clearer. We've been constantly bombarded with psychological warfare.
I feel
misinformation,
fatigued.
I'm
fatigued, mate. I'm tired. You know, sometimes I just can't even go out and talk to people in public because I just can't handle hearing their bullshit anymore.
That's it.
I just if I look for my own people because I want to be around people that are supportive and loving. I don't want to be around these dicks that have tried to shut us up and separate us and create a medical apartheid in our country.
There's a lot of agendas out there, paid opposition, crisis actors, and they're all labelled Maori. They are promoting the status quo to the detriment of everything. This is not a Maori issue. This is a global issue. And they're the ones who are being used to maintain the status quo.
Oh, absolutely, mate. That's what I say to all my friends that get on board with them. I say, mate, all these guys are doing is supporting what's already in place. They're not doing anything for you.
That's right. Yeah,
they don't want to do anything. They're already getting paid. They don't care if you get paid.
Yes, and they're leading all these hikois down to Wellington, all the cannon fodder. Right?
Yep, that's right.
For what? When they should be all leading them up to the National Trust. The National Trust Board.
Sorry,
National
flag.
You're running out of time, Nelson.
The next show. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Okay, brother. Yeah, we'll see you later.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah,
mate.
thanks heaps for coming on, brother. Yeah, I really appreciate it.
No, do the, like, tell everyone your links and shit. You've got 5
Well,
minutes.
well,
Tell
why don't
everyone
you
your
do it?
links,
I
where they
can't
can
remember them.
find both of you and stuff. Don't
Yeah, I
just
can't.
hang up like an idiot.
I'm not going to. I'm just saying goodbye to him, you idiot. I'll see you later, brother.
Okay.
But yeah, thanks heaps
All
for
right.
coming on. And yeah, so if anybody does want to ring up any of the shows in the future, we had the numbers at the beginning. Please join the Telegram page, NZ Freedom Hub Radio, and then you can get in and get involved with these conversations. There's a lot of different talkbacks happening on the station, a few different days a week, lots of different times a day. So, get involved with that stuff. And I'll be back again next week. Yeah, thanks guys for
All right.
coming in on live and on the Rumble as well. So, and thanks Devin for all your admin stuff, and Barack for creating this, mate. Thank you guys. That's us.
Okay.
Love you,
Oh,
Kyle.
how do we find Jerry Crown? How do we find the
Love,
crown?
no fear.